Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast where we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete Mart.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And today we have a special guest to welcome to the show. You might remember the episode we did with his dad, Chris Hopkins, who painted the famous Temple of Doom teaser trailer. That's one of our most popular episodes. And he's also a fantastic artist in his own right. Welcome, Justin Hopkins, to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And today we are talking about minute 86, which begins with Willie being hoisted up from a lava pit, and it ends with Willie being hoisted up from a lava pit. And in between, we get the operatic climax of Chatterlaw's tragic but beautiful life.
Well, just to keep that that beautiful mood, Pete, I have something for you specifically, Tommy, in second 4.
Good.
Yeah, when Willie is being pulled up from the lava vortex and she's silhouetted and backlit by the lava,
Yeah.
you can kind of see her underwear.
Yeah? Wait a minute. Hang on.
That's yeah. There you go. Stop the
Everyone
show.
hold still. Oh, son of a gun, look at that.
I'm sorry. There you go.
Sad.
I'm sorry to lead with that. It just
She's
kind of
right there. No, to make you feel, can I tell a horrible joke that I just made up as Pete was doing his intro?
Yeah.
What do you call it when a minute of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom begins and ends almost the same way? The scene, oh shoot, I can't, and I'm phrasing it wrong. It begins and ends identically.
Oh,
Identically.
Oh, jeez.
Justin, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Well,
This is where the bar is. This is what you have to deal with.
can I bring it even lower and
Please do.
earlier in the minute?
Yeah.
Something that I was struck by, and I'm sure maybe not everybody would notice something like this, but in second 1, when she's being lowered down into the pit, on the left-hand upper left-hand side, there's a really strange rock formation coming from the top of the frame, and it looks incredibly phallic to me. I mean, it's so bizarre. Like I've never seen a stone
Oh my
formed like
God.
that. It's like so penile that I noticed it immediately because it also lands. If you're if you're like designing a frame, like as I would seeing things as an illustrator, that's where you put your main element of focus in what they call the golden ratio. And there's a blazing fire, and directly above it is a phallic object, which I found to be really strange.
Now, what rhymes with golden ratio that would be appropriate for this image?
I don't know. That's your territory.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to...
Minute
that's
86.
incredible.
We're coming out the gate. I like this.
Yeah.
This is right in the 5th grade lunchroom.
Yeah.
We're all secure in our masculinity.
Well, I have a question here. So Willie passes out. Now, does she pass out? Like, is it out of shock that she's missing her diamonds? Yeah.
Scared the hell out of her.
Is it that, or is it like from the heat, or is it from just plain old despair?
Well, she's barely sweating. Like which again confirms my theory that it's a magic trick. So I don't think it's the heat.
Yeah, you don't think it's the heat?
I kind of do. I always assume, but no, I agree. But Pete's right that she's not. None of the effects of heat are very realistic in all these lava-based scenes. But yeah, I do think that she's. I always assume that she just passed out.
Yeah, I think that's what you're probably supposed to assume.
The oxygen is probably not the right levels for perfect human times.
Or just that that old misogynistic damsel in distress feeling faint thing. So that has the male protagonists have to leap into action,
Right, and the rock formation foreshadows that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, hey, what do you think the workman comp package is at the Temple of Doom here? Because when I'm watching Indy pull that wheel back up, and he's yanking it up, you're like, that is just murder on the sacroiliac joint.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford supposedly has a rotten back right now.
Right.
Yeah. I think Spielberg's just making him, maybe hates him or something, because he's making him do all these things with his back.
Like kissed his future wife on screen. He's furious with him. Put him
Well, and also
paces.
just that motion, as somebody who has a really messed up sacrum, I can say what rhymes with sacrum. That type of motion was just horrible to watch.
Yeah.
Like everything tightened up in my lower back.
Yeah.
He's like drawing and twisting and gnarling his back.
I was aerating the yard yesterday, and watching that makes it hurt even worse.
Yeah. Well, I thought they must they must lose a lot of those altar boys to the to some sort of I'm out 6 weeks again. Well, I'm pulling up the cage. Molaram, he's doing this stuff every night.
Maybe they have those weightlifting belts on under their robes and stuff.
So Mola, everybody's messed up with all sorts of injuries due to the workplace. Molaram has the the carpal tunnel supports on his wrist, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some strange stuff going on here, too. Like, if you look at around second 12, I was trying to figure out what's going on after he starts bringing Willie up. And he's he's working his back here, trying to get the hoist up. And in the background, you can see Shorty beating up a guard or something.
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing it. He looks like he's attacking him with a torch. And I'm wondering, is he about to, free a bunch of guards from their collie zombie?
I think he is, yeah.
And they're going to have some allies that we never see.
Oh, wow. Hey, you're right.
Yeah, because it's like we talked about a few minutes ago, he torched that one mime guy, and then, Indy, I think, ends up hitting the mime guy. But I think Shorty knew what he had to do and started trying to bring people out of the black sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, we talked about that. Do you, Justin, do you have any... Are you familiar with the deleted scene? Whereas if basically how Short Round discovered that if you hit somebody or touch somebody with fire, if they encounter fire, then they're awakened from the black sleep.
I guess not. I thought he figured that out when he just tried it on Indy.
Right.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the movie, you figure that out. But there was which you wonder. It's like he throws water in his face. Nah, that didn't work.
Hits him with a frying pan. No.
Yeah. Gives him a little bit more vitamin D. No, that didn't work.
Drinks a glass of water upside down. No.
Something I was wondering. So the guy who's about trying to stab Indy about halfway through this minute and gets tucked underneath the mechanism. Is he like an innocent bystander who has drank the blood and become like a slave to this guy, and he is like collateral damage, or do you think he's one of the thuggy higher up henchmen, where he's clear headed and he's making this of his own volition, making these horrible decisions?
See, let's just
I think I have the answer. I think if you look at how, because Chatterlaw, this is where you see in the background, Indy's pulling up the winch, and you see a guy holding a knife and start to come out, and then the camera pans back and you see it's Chatterlaw. But you see from his skill with the knife that he doesn't seem like he really knows what he's doing. So I think that before he drank the collie blood, he was a pacifist like Gandhi. And he was probably dedicated to nonviolent resistance to the British. And so then he turns into this guy, and you see him with his terrible fighting skills, but he's just completely unresponsible for his actions.
Oh, I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent, only because you see him earlier on in the movie with the Maharaja, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like in the British guys, they're there, and they don't seem like... I could be totally misinterpreting this, but it seems like he's been there for a while, as part of the Maharaja's, entourage or something. And maybe he's been there for a while, and he was also taken hostage by this Mola Ram. I feel like he is just an innocent bystander who ends up getting essentially murdered by Indiana Jones in this movie.
Well, see, we're gonna make a point right here, and you brought up the what we'll call the entourage. Right?
Jeez.
No, but this is the thing. That guy, Chatterlal, is the second most devious or, sinister guy in the entire movie. Mm-hmm. And you weren't even completely you're like, hey, I think I know who that guy is. He's kind of one of those bad guys, right?
Yeah, it's really.
And we've discussed this. Yeah, what they do with him is nothing, and the fact that you're not alone. Going, hey, I think that guy was one of the bad guys, and you're like, that guy's the second in command bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, his wardrobe's drastically changed so much, though. I think it also might be just the lack of visual sophistication with during this time period where the main bad guys and the main good guys are supposed to have uniforms so you can tell them apart from each other. So the Malaram or whatever always has that. I mean, he looks scary all the time because he never changes his clothes, and same with Willie and Short Round, they always look exactly the same. So you can just tell them apart from everybody else. And this guy went through a pretty drastic wardrobe change. So I think that's in the grand vocabulary of the movie. That's kind of upsetting everything a bit.
Yeah. Well, and I was with you. I didn't really know. Obviously, the first many times I watched the movie, I guess I eventually put it together that is Chatterlal. Yeah. But Pete, you and I are going to butt heads here for a second because. Okay. You guys all know by now that I have a theory that to ascend the Temple of Doom ladder of success, you need to be ambidextrous. And, here's one more Sankara stone of proof. We've seen Molaram heart grab both right and left-handed.
Well, we talked about. He never went through with the other one.
You're right. He never went through with the other one.
We'll allow it.
We've seen Pat Roach as a whipping switch hitter, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And here in second 28 of this minute 86, we see Chatterlal artfully switch hands wielding his dagger. Mm-hmm. So they're all the bad guys are actually ambidextrous.
Wait, how are you going to butt heads with Pete over that?
Because I think he was clumsy when he switched hands.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that was proof that he didn't know how to use a knife. But he can still be ambidextrous and just not know how to use a knife.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't use it very well when he switched hands. I mean, he just kind of flopped himself onto the gears of that machine.
It didn't really improve much. That's true.
It didn't help him. That's true. I don't know why he switches. I think that might be the. You know what? I think that might be the international sign for sinister.
Yeah. Well, speaking of international sign for sinister, we can also add to the confusion here because when he's coming after Indy looks over and makes eye contact with Willie, who's suspended in the cage.
Yeah.
And their glance is broken when somebody starts laughing, like somebody starts doing this evil villain laugh. And my question was, who's doing the villain laugh? Is it Chatterlal or is Mola Ram off screen doing it?
It is weird because it doesn't sound anything like Chatterlal, but it does seem like it's supposed to be him.
Yeah,
I'm saying that it is him, but it's weird and awkward, like some other guy did his voice or something.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was Mola Ram somewhere watching.
Maybe
because he kind of did that whole trapdoor thing, and then he snuck away laughing.
I haven't gotten over that. The weirdest part of the movie.
That's hilarious. That part's hilarious.
Hey, speaking of stuff that I can't get rid of, that I can't let go, this wheel will never stop bothering me. Because earlier we see that it's sort of like that. There's the wheel with the spokes that you got to manually raise it up like that. But to let it go, you got the lever. And up until now, 2 or 3 times when that lever is let go of, the cage goes and stops because it's like a dead man switch or something. But here, as they're fighting, Chatterlal lets go, and the cage just keeps falling until Chatterlal stops the wheel with his body. So I don't like that they're switching rules on us just for some cinematic goofishness. I don't allow it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I just hate how Chatterlal goes out here.
Oh, I was.
Does he even go out? Do we know for sure that he goes out?
We don't actually. I will get that. guess get to that the next minute.
Okay.
But there is a deleted. They filmed a very different scene originally, and I'm not sure why that got taken out too. But Chatterlaw goes out a lot differently.
Ooh.
And they actually filmed it because there are production stills, or not production. There are actually stills shots you can see of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the original script and what they filmed, right after Indy and Willie have that glance that I was just talking about that gets interrupted by the laugh. But in the original one, they're looking at each other, making eye contact, and Willie yells, "Look out!" And Chatterlaw has grabbed a pistol from a fallen guard, and he spins towards Indy, and Indy kicks the pistol out of his hand. And then Chatterlaw starts yelling, and his eyes turn yellow, and he dives at Indy, and they both crash onto the cage. And then somehow, I guess he's gotten Willie out when they're making eye contact. So they both crash onto the cage, and it starts falling into the thing, and they're fighting. And Indy jumps out just in time, and Chatterlaw, screaming, falls into the lava.
Oh, weird.
See,
That sounds
awesome.
Why not do that?
Yeah. And there's a leaked image of Chatterlaw and Indy fighting on the cage, and then there's another image of Law, like a one where they're actually behind the scenes where he's on the cage looking up when he's about to hit the lava.
Oh, wow.
So I'll post those in the Facebook group.
Yeah, because you talk about the death of Chatterlaw, and it's not exactly a supernova explosion here. I mean,
no, he just completely goes out with a whimper.
No.
That sound is so gross.
Well, first of all, he still has his face. It didn't melt off. Yeah, for a second in command,
propeller,
bad guy.
nothing.
No propeller, exactly. He didn't get his face arbied off by a plane propeller.
They could have easily had his head get crushed by those spokes or something. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
That would have been a little gruesome, but
Dr. Thomas talked about how hard it is to get through the rib cage when you're pulling out a heart. Like maybe this is how they soften them up.
Well, I was thinking here. What's fascinating is that apparently he does die of a myocardial contusion.
Oh.
And I'm just thinking, the hearts really take a beating in this movie.
You want someone to get shot in the head in this movie or something.
Yeah, he does. That is his cause of death, isn't it? Either like that or just, it's like his heart is either. Yeah, it stops because of, I guess, the weight of the cage and Willie in the cage. It crushes his heart, or maybe it suffocates him, I guess, and he can't breathe.
Well, I don't actually think he dies, and I think we'll see that next minute. But if he does die, I agree with you.
Sure.
That I think that's exactly what would happen.
And then we see the Temple of Doom congregants, cheer at Chatterlaw's demise, and
that's another example of just crowds of people shouting, and you don't know what they're shouting about. We saw that all the time in Raiders, and now here, we know they should be upset and angry, but they're just kind of going.
Are they cheering on the fight, or are they cheering on Indy? Are they angry at Indy? It's hard to know what side they're on here.
Yeah, it seems like it's like a WWE.
Yeah, they're just enjoying the fight.
Yeah.
No, I think they recognize and celebrate any myocardial contusion. It's just when one happens.
They've been so conditioned to be into that.
Just like, oh, look, his heart. He's dying because of his heart.
That's what they're yelling. Heart, 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 heart.
But it does lead you to believe that there's a separation, like that gulf that separates them from the stage is not something you can pass, because otherwise they would be over there, trying to help, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I almost feel bad for those guys. Like they're probably, if they're angry, that's probably frustrating for them.
It seems like they just are not capitalizing on method of escape during a diversion.
Yeah.
I thought that's what was kind of weird about it. Like when this is going on, instead of like escaping starvation and slavery, they're just cheering on a fight between a stranger and an oppressor. It's kind of a strange reaction. I feel like everybody would be running for the exits.
Well,
that's just me.
Is there okay, so there's the chasm of lava. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about before, there's sort of the upper balcony where the choir sings, and where they'd house the organ and the other instruments that they kind of come in on. Uh-huh. Is there no other way to get to the altar?
No.
From the Temple of Doom? Can you not, get to the altar like where Mola Ram is?
No, and there's a scene we'll talk about in the next couple of minutes. I think in 2 minutes, a deleted scene that will express why.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a stupid question, but Are we sure that's lava? It does not look like lava whatsoever. I feel like, this movie, I think it won like the Oscar for special effects or something. But it didn't, that doesn't look like lava at all to me. It looks like stomach acid or something. It does, doesn't it? Look like
it's very inner space.
Yeah, it is.
I think. Well, when you were talking about the chuckle, I was thinking maybe the temple made that that villainous cackle, and it's actually lowering its food directly into its stomach acids, because that's just not like any lava I've ever seen. It's just watery and yellow and gross looking.
I like that. It's kind of so like Kali is actually, maybe that's like Kali's stomach. Like, like that's sort of how Kali shows up, in the world, just in that cave down there, and that's there. You gotta feed Kali. Those are the rules.
Well, hey, thanks for the support, Jerry. Thanks for the support. But that just lava is just not very convincing, as cool as it is looking.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you mentioned that you thought the air conditioning might be in on the Temple of Doom, and that's why Indy still has his jacket on, and you were even saying he's showed up, and all these congregants are shirtless in shorts, and I agree with you. Someone here has a thyroid condition. You know what I mean? I don't know who it is. Either you drink all the Kool-Aid and like your thyroid or your hypothalamus kind of goes haywire and you can't really regulate body temperature.
Yeah.
Or maybe Indy has that problem. Maybe he is like his hypothalamus is out of whack.
Oh, so that's why he's always wearing the winter coat? Like
he's wearing
the tropical jungle? Or...
Exactly. He might have a thyroid condition. I don't know.
But who are these congregants? Like, do you think they've drunk the blood, or do you think they just happen to they stopped by one Sunday and they're like, I kind of like this church, I'm going to start going here? Or do you think they're prisoners? Like, who do you think they are?
They got to be prisoners if they're cheering on the demise of that guy. I feel like they have to be prisoners, right?
I don't know. They seem kind of into it.
Do you think that they were upstairs in the palace at dinner? Do you think they're like do you think that maybe it's the kitchen staff from Pencott Palace?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm not sure. Weird question.
Like on their way down, maybe there's like a secret passage and they all have to take their shirts off and put on shorts. And then it's kind of like the opposite of going to mass as a Catholic. You kind of have to take off some clothes. Down. Yeah, you dress down.
Or maybe they're all just the kids, growing, in the process of growing up, because this has been going on for years and years.
Yeah,
and years.
You're off mine duty. You're on congregant duty.
Yeah, that is fun.
Do the wave.
What happens? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then the progression would be, you're stolen as a kid, you're a minor for a few years, then you become like that really sad kid in the cage, and you drink the Kool-Aid, and then you become a congregant, and then you become Larry, and you get sacrificed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brainwashing.
Yeah.
Cycle of life.
I think.
Well, I guess, so if there are this many of them, it seems like there'd be maybe there's a Larry every day.
Yeah, there's a sacrifice every day, I think, which explains why Molaram has carpal tunnel.
Really? Why he switches hands? Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's got to keep switching his hands.
It's Wednesday. I'll go with the left. Oh, jeez.
Well, Justin, how were you first introduced to the Raiders series, or specifically Temple of Doom?
Oh man, this was my favorite, without question, my favorite movie when I was a kid.
Wow.
And I went through phases of liking every Indiana Jones movie the most. Mm-hmm. So I think as I've gotten older and more sophisticated in film narrative, obviously Raiders is the best one. But for a long time, I thought this one was pretty untouchable as a kid. And Last Crusade, pretty awesome still. But this movie, I think probably because of my dad, but also I didn't really realize that as a kid. We just had the VHS box set, so I would just watch it every day for years almost. Yeah, it was amazing. This movie it's still a pretty bad movie, but actually I think it's pretty great. as an adult. It's pretty good. I think there's some amazing set pieces and amazing framing, and Charlton Heston, or not Charlton Heston, but
Sure. No,
Harrison
Charlton
Ford.
That Charlton Heston's fine, man. That's it.
Well, I have him in my notes is why I have notes here on the side. But like Harrison Ford has he kind of has like this weird like Harold Lloyd vibe with his face,
he does.
and, and the way he moves his body.
Yeah.
He's great. He's super great.
Yeah.
But as I've grown up, I've kind of realized what parts of it seem like they scream like George Lucas more so than others, and this feels like the most Lucasy of all of the movies.
Why is that? Why do you think? Why does it feel that way to you? I know what you mean.
I think because he always tries to shoehorn in these really bad ideas to make. I feel like to appeal to a way bigger audience than is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like kids, they have to have that sidekick, and that's why I loved the movie as a kid, because I was like, there's an analog for me, kind of in the movie. And then you're like, oh, we have to I used to love those club singers as a kid. We should put one of those in the movie, really play up to the nostalgia of it. But they don't really. He never seems to really nail it, in any of these situations. I feel like Short Round's kind of off, and Willie, if she's like that gold digging seductress club singer, like we're in the noir movies, they would be kind of sultry and sassy and kind of intelligent and manipulative, and here she's just played to weird comic effect and kind of in a weird way mean-spirited comic effect. So I feel like that's a very Lucasy thing to do, do these things, add these sidekicks that are completely unnecessary just to appeal to a wider audience, and it just kind of ruins the movie in a lot of ways. He does that in a lot of his movies, so it just seems like a Lucasy thing to do.
Well,
I could be wrong.
I loved your quote. I think we're a little bit halfway through the movie, more than halfway, and you said it's bad, but it's great.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
That's fine. I think that's no explanation necessary. I get it.
Oh, it's fantastic fun. It's an unbelievably fun movie.
Yeah.
But it's got a tremendous amount of problems with it. I've got a question for you guys, though. You guys have probably talked about it many, many times over the course of the series. But do you think he's a bad archaeologist or the best archaeologist?
Oh, he's the worst archaeologist. He's not even an archaeologist. He's such a bad archaeologist.
Okay. I was with you on that, but I've changed my mind.
He finds a lot of neat stuff. We'll give him that.
And then he burns
promptly
it all.
Destroys it. Yeah.
Steps on it, and kicks it,
wipes his feet on it.
Yeah, hides it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was thinking about this a lot while watching this again, and I think he might be. If he is an actual archaeologist, and I listened to some of the episodes when you guys were talking about maybe he was faking it, and that's why he winked to Short Round or whatever when he said Dr. Jones. I think that he might be the greatest archaeologist of all time, and because if any of these adventures, I know this was technically the first one, but if these adventures are any indication, this man has proved the existence of God and the paranormal. And the only way you can be a professor of archaeology is if you have papers published. So he's had papers published of these massive discoveries, which would make sense why he's such a rock star in his school, and all the women want him and are after him, and all the other archaeologists find him so famous and desirable. Because if this person has proven and published the proof of an existence of God, not only the existence of God, but this movie also proves that all gods are created equal, then he's the most important man who's ever lived. and the fact that he does all these things is because he's gone above the Call of Duty, where most archaeologists prove that people have made and broken pots for thousands of years. He's proved the existence of God. That's a pretty big deal. So he gets a little bit more license to do these things. And also, I was thinking, because I did some more research, when they said this belongs in a museum, that's actually a really poignant thing to say. Because back in this time period, I guess during the Depression, I don't know if you guys know this, but I found this by accident just the other day, that FDR, part of his New Deal was doing these make-work archaeological digs. Like, I think it was called the National Historic Preservation Act, where they did all these make-work jobs where people would become amateur archaeologists and dig up and try to find relics before they did any big building developments.
Oh.
But because of this, they had a lot of like discovery with very little actual curation.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of artifacts that just end up in these big warehouses because there's too much getting these artifacts and not enough organizing, studying them, and curating the narrative into museums.
Oh,
Wow.
So maybe the point of him saying that is that like, oh, like he's one of the guys who actually has the knowledge and can clearly speak like 7 to 10 languages fluently, and can read hieroglyphics back and forth, and ancient dead languages. He's one of the only guys with a specific skill set in order to go find these relics, fight off the kind of grave robbers, and also be able to see their importance and put them properly in a narrative in the museum curatorially.
So when he's saying that that belongs in a museum and the museum gets it, he's trying to guard it against other people coming along and then just sticking it in a warehouse.
Exactly.
And then at the end of Raiders, that's why it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's not he's almost never successful, which is just also it's sad, but it's realistic.
Yeah, I love
like
that. I like it. That's fantastic. Kind of just split open the franchise.
Yeah, so it's not that he's a bad archaeologist because no archaeologists do this. He's just the best one because he's gone above and beyond, punching Nazis, kissing Nazis. Like, he's gone the distance where other archaeologists have never gone before.
Well, there's one little wrinkle here that's preventing
sure
it.
there's
No,
huge ones.
that's only one. Did
Yeah.
he publish at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark? Did he
wondering that too.
actually publish? and was it, printed, or was it part of this whole weird non-disclosure thing where he wasn't allowed to write a paper and submit it to Scientific American or whatever, Archaeology Today?
See, I think he wrote like a popular book after this, like Sundays with Shiva or something, and that's why all the women in his class are so gaga over him.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't have written a publishable paper after Raiders because he had his eyes closed when it all went down.
That's true.
Right? So he has no actual evidence. He just woke up and everybody was melted. And I don't think that's that's grounds for publishing.
Right. Well, what's your footnote? What are you gonna reference?
I guess I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe these are just some of the maybe hundreds of adventures this guy's been on. So
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I just don't want him to be a grave robber. That's all.
Well, you went about it the right way. He kind of just paved a highway straight down.
Yeah.
Yeah, unapologetically. He's the best ever. And I get it. I mean, if you can prove the existence of God and the paranormal, that's fine with me. Oh, wait a second.
Oh.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. The only slip in this scene is the cage. I think that was the whole foundation garments that we talked about. And
I was hoping she was going to say the only slip in this scene is the disc in Indy's back.
Oh, God.
we got a lot of slips. Nice. We got the cage. We got, the L4, L5 lower, the sacroiliac. And we got Willie's, underwear. No slip. Well, we bring it full circle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Christy. Well, on that note, anybody have anything else for minute 86?
I want to say one thing, and that's everything I just said was a product of overthinking and under research. So if I misspoken there about the
show is all
FDR
about.
thing, Yeah, that was the. Yeah, just know that I'm not an expert on archaeology or like.
Well, and I feel like
Gilded Age of American
India's just
history.
underthinking, and that's it.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah, underthinking.
Yeah.
So it's
Possibly, yeah. But the guy speaks like 8 languages fluently.
ew.
Right?
Debatable.
Wait to hear him tell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
In his mind, I think he speaks 8 languages fluently.
That's been debated.
Oh, interesting.
Where he's a polyglot or a monoglot.
What has not been debated, Justin, is that we've really enjoyed having you on the show, and you are a fantastic artist.
Oh, thank
And
you.
If people are interested in finding out more about your work or learning more about you, how would they do that?
I've got a gallery downtown called Nohwave, NOHWAVE and the website is nowave.co. And I do a lot of, I announce all my shows there. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that at Rarebit Ultra. And that's where you can find most of the updates on what I'm doing if anybody happens to be interested in that.
Cool. And that's
Awesome.
downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, downtown Los Angeles, on the corner of San Pedro and 3rd Street.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you guys are, invited to anything that we do there. So,
awesome.
I'll put you guys on the mailing list.
Yeah, please do. I will definitely be. I will definitely come out and see the gallery. I'd love to.
Cool.
Yeah. And Tom, if someone wants to get on the equivalent of our mailing list, what would you suggest?
They should send their full address, bank account number, social security number, and post it to the Indiana Jones Minute Listeners Crusade on Facebook. That's the main place where we interact with all you nice people who spend your time listening to us talk about Indiana Jones all day. And join us over there and find us on Twitter at Indiana Jones Min. And find us on iTunes and leave us a nice review and spread the love, by golly.
Please do, by golly.
Please do.
And after you do that, please join us back here tomorrow for minute 87 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
Jones! Like that?
There you go.
All right.
There it is.